Good morning, everybody. This morning I am joined by Tim Murtaugh. He's the Director of Communications for President Trump's re-election campaign.
Correct.
Thank you for joining me.
Sure, happy to be here.
Okay, tell me about the rundown of today. It's a huge operation. You're up early and you're going to be up late.
Yeah, we have 45 Fest, first of all, which is kicking off the day at the American Airlines Center at 10:30 this morning. We have live music and food trucks and some live shows put on there with some special guests outside for the people who have lined up early. Doors open for the general public at 4 o'clock. The pre-show begins with some appearances and some speeches by some folks that people will recognize from here in the Texas political world. Doors open for that at 4 o'clock, and the pre-show begins at 5, and the president is expected to take the stage at about 7 o'clock tonight.
So a lot going on tonight. It always fascinates me just how much goes into any political campaign, especially for the presidency. How do you guys select the messages that you want to get out to voters? Specifically today, is it going to change today versus another day or here in Texas?
Well, I mean, first of all, the president decides what he will or won't say when he's up on stage. That much is clear. He's the boss, and we all recognize that. But I think the message changes a little bit state to state because the news that's what's going on. It's always good. The good news is where we are in the states, but it's a little bit different. In Texas here, we might have focused a little bit more on the energy sector. It's 2 million jobs in Texas that rely on fossil fuel industries, oil and gas, and those types of things. 2 million jobs and $330 billion of annual investment in the state economy. So he'll probably talk about that a lot more than he would in some other state, perhaps. But the jobs news is always good wherever the president goes. Here in Texas, 750,000 jobs have been created since he's been president. Texas is a border state, as you know, and so he'll probably talk a little bit more about immigration than he would in some other parts of the country. And so it varies, but you know, it is generally still the overall message of it's a great time to be an American. The economy is strong, and the unemployment is the all-time lowest for the state of Texas that it has ever been. The unemployment picture across the whole country is great, and it doesn't matter who you are, male, female, white, black, Latino, the economic outlook for you and your family is tremendous, and that is really a central part of the president's message no matter where we are.
So that's what we can expect to hear here in Texas or anywhere, is what you're saying. You know, I don't have to tell you this, we're living in a divided time. The president's critics are extremely passionate, we'll put it that way.
Let's say that, sure.
It goes both ways, right? What's the conversation or the messaging on, do you even try to reach out to the folks that say that they're against Donald Trump, or do you focus on your base, the supporters?
We think that the president's message cuts across party lines. It really does. I mean, it doesn't. The fact that there are so many jobs in this country, we used to hear about people looking for jobs, right? Now we have jobs looking for people. There are actually more available jobs than there are people looking for them. And that is not a Democrat or Republican thing. That's an American thing, and that's tremendously good news. So we know that appeals to Republicans. Republicans are solidly with the president. There's no question of that. We also think it appeals to a lot of independents, and we think that independent voters will break the president's way. That's about a third of the country. So this is not strictly a base election where we want just our Republican Trump supporters to come out and vote, and we'll be happy about that. No. We think we can attract a lot of people to the president's side based strictly on what they see going on in the country around them, and people can see the success of his policies every day.
And Tim, you were talking to Marcus Took upstairs. They were on Daybreak live on television, and you were saying, hey, doing the job that you're doing, you never know what the president's going to say or do. As a communications director, what kind of challenge is that? I mean, I work in the news, and every day you don't know what it's going to be.
I think President Trump is the best communicator that this campaign has. There's no question of that, whether it's him on the stage talking about it, whether it's him in a press conference talking about it, giving a speech, or on Twitter. The president is the one he's a master of branding, he's a master of communicating. He's the one who got elected president when no one gave him a chance to do that, even up to and including on election day. And so our challenge as a campaign is just to follow his lead, because you know his instincts are always dead on, and you know he is the undisputed boss of the campaign, and we all know our roles, and we fall in line and we follow.
It really is kind of a different way of doing it when you look at a lot of typical campaigns where everything's very, you know what to expect.
We learned a long time ago that Donald Trump is who he is. You know, he had a long career, very successful career in business and in television before he ever even considered running for office. And so we sort of feel like he knows what he's doing.
Final question from me. Right as we're getting ready for the newscast today, news broke that Representative Elijah Cummings passed away at 68. It really was a shock. What's your reaction, can you speak on behalf of the campaign? And you probably are just learning of it as well.
I woke up to that news. Yes, it's very sad news. Elijah Cummings has been a strong leader for the American people in Congress and also an icon of the civil rights movement. Clearly didn't always see eye to eye with President Trump, but in a situation like this, you try to put that aside, and really our heartfelt condolences to Elijah Cummings, his family and his friends and his constituents there in Baltimore, and he will be missed.
Okay, and this is actually the final question. I monitor social media. I hear from folks all the time. There's so many people that say they are exhausted with the divisive rhetoric or the tone. Is that something you guys discuss? And it's not just President Trump at all. I see it across the board from every perspective. Is that a discussion behind the scenes?
Not really. I mean, we can only control what we can control, and in the case of our campaign, or President Trump is pretty much by this point, I think, a known commodity. That he is who he is, and I think a lot of the stuff that the social media just sort of has made it easier for people to say the things that they typically would have said, privately or between friends, on the street perhaps. And social media just sort of spreads it around a little bit more, and maybe we are more divided as a country. I don't know. Maybe we always were like this, and now the social media just makes it more apparent. I don't really know. But from our perspective, we as the campaign and we follow the president's lead, and we feel like he's pretty well a known commodity by this point.
Tim, I appreciate you coming out here and speaking with us,
Sure.
and good luck getting through the day.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
It's not too hard.
Okay, thank you.